Hello everyone, welcome back to this lecture series on chemical and physical equilibria. This is lecture number 10. In the last lecture I had introduced Le Chatelier's principle and I also discussed effect of pressure on equilibrium. In this lecture I am going to discuss another effect called effect of temperature on equilibrium reactions. Okay, let's get started. I have told you in the last lecture that when a stress is, so what is Le Chatelier principle basically? When a stress is applied, stress means effect, external perturbation. When a stress is applied to a system in equilibrium, the equilibrium tends to adjust to minimize the effect of the stress. Okay, so if you apply some external perturbation on an equilibrium reaction, the equilibrium reaction will try to adjust itself to minimize the effect of the perturbation. This is what we call as Le Chatelier's principle. And I have also told you that Le Chatelier's principle provides a way to predict qualitative, okay, it gives a qualitative explanation, right, for the effect of temperature, pressure, addition of impurities, right, or inert gases on an equilibrium reaction. Yeah, so in this lecture I am going to focus on effect of temperature on equilibrium reaction. Okay, so how temperature affects an equilibrium reaction? Listen, in equilibrium reaction we all know that we represent equilibrium reaction. Suppose we have a reactant A and we have a product B. Assume that A reacts to give B, and under the same set of condition B also reacts back and gives A. Okay, if the rate of the forward reaction and rate of the backward reactions are equal, then we say that the reaction attains equilibrium. Okay, in equilibrium the forward reaction may be exothermic or may be endothermic. Suppose if forward reaction is exothermic, then definitely backward reaction should be endo, right? Or if forward reaction is endo, backward reaction should be exo. Okay, this is a well known one in the case of equilibrium reactions, right? So if you have an equilibrium reaction and if you increase the temperature, if you supply heat, okay, if you increase the temperature, right, it will shift the equilibrium reaction in the direction of absorption of heat. That is, in which direction heat is absorbed, right? Say for example, you know very well, endothermic reaction requires heat. So if you supply heat or if you increase temperature, endothermic reaction favors more, right? It starts to occur in larger extent. Okay, in a similar manner the equilibrium can be expected to shift in the exothermic direction if the temperature is lowered. Okay, see what is the meaning for this? Listen, suppose you have some reaction A giving B in the forward direction and B giving A in the reverse direction, right? Suppose if the forward reaction is exo, suppose, then backward reaction should be endo. In this case, if you supply heat, right, or if you increase temperature, increase of temperature favors endothermic reaction, that is backward reaction in this case, right? If you remove temperature or if you reject heat, if you remove heat from the system, temperature will decrease. Okay, if temperature decreases, right, a decrease of temperature favors the exothermic reaction. Okay, so what we have to do is to understand the effect of temperature on equilibrium, we need to identify, okay, whether forward reaction is exo or backward reaction is endo, or whether forward endo or backward exo. So we need to understand which reaction, okay, among forward and backward, which reaction is endo, which reaction is exo, right? Based on that you can easily identify the effect of temperature on an equilibrium reaction. Okay, so endothermic, an endothermic reaction, endothermic means absorbs heat. Endothermic reaction is favored by an increase in temperature. If you increase temperature, endothermic reaction will favor, and an exothermic reaction is favored by a decrease in temperature. Okay, this qualitative explanation was given by Le-Chatelier. Okay, this is the Le-Chatelier's explanation for the effect of temperature on equilibrium. Okay, then before proceed further, I like to give one more information here. See, in an equilibrium reaction, suppose I have A giving B and B gives back A. In an equilibrium reaction, the delta H that is given here, right? You know very well, at equilibrium we use standard enthalpy change of the reaction, and we usually keep temperature as 298 Kelvin. And I told you already, temperature is not a function which defines the state. Only pressure defines the state here. Okay, so under standard state, the change in enthalpy of the reaction may be positive or negative. Suppose assume that for a reaction delta H naught is given as negative. What does this indicate? This indicates that forward reaction is exo, backward reaction is endo. Okay, if delta H is negative, delta H negative means it is exothermic reaction. The equilibrium reaction is exothermic. It also gives an idea that in this equilibrium reaction, forward is exo, backward is endo. Okay, similarly, suppose if you have an equilibrium reaction where delta H is positive, suppose if delta H is positive, then delta H positive means endothermic reaction. In which side it is endo? Yes, forward reaction is endo. So this delta H of the equilibrium reaction will directly give information about forward reaction. Okay, so in this case, forward reaction is endo and backward reaction is exo. Very simple. Okay, and keep this in mind. Increase of temperature favors endothermic reaction. Okay, yeah, this is what we call Le-Chatelier's principle. Now let me discuss with a few examples. See this, nitrogen combined with hydrogen form ammonia. Okay, this is a gas phase equilibrium reaction, and delta H naught is given. See the sign of delta H naught. It is negative. It is negative, that means the overall equilibrium reaction is exo. Not only that, delta H negative also indicates that forward reaction is exo and backward reaction is endo. So in this case, if temperature increases, what will happen? Increase of temperature, right, will affect the endothermic reaction, or it favors endothermic reaction. Okay, so endothermic reaction, that is backward reaction in this case, backward reaction starts to occur in larger extent. So backward reaction favors, right, in this reaction. Backward reaction starts to occur in larger extent. Okay, yeah. Then second example, see here. Here also this is an equilibrium reaction for which delta H is naught is negative again. If delta H naught is negative, it is very clear that the overall reaction is the overall reaction is exothermic. Not only that, forward reaction also exothermic. Forward reaction is exo, so that backward reaction should be endo. So in this case also, if you increase temperature, if temperature increases, then forward reaction will occur in backward reaction will occur in larger extent. Backward reaction favors more. Okay, similarly, if you decrease temperature, I didn't say in the first example, you can also say with the decrease of temperature. So if temperature decreases, then exothermic reaction will favor more. So in this example, forward reaction is exothermic, therefore forward reaction will occur in larger extent. Okay, then one more example. See here, nitrogen combined with oxygen form N2O4, right? This reaction is an endothermic reaction. See the sign? We know very well, if delta H naught is positive, it is endo. The overall reaction is endo. Not only that, it directly gives you the nature of the forward reaction. Okay, if the net enthalpy change is endo, okay, if net enthalpy change is positive, that means the overall reaction is endo. Not only that, it also tells that the forward reaction also endo. If forward is endo, backward should be exo. Okay, so in this case, if you increase temperature, if temperature increases, right, it favors the forward reaction, because forward reaction is endothermic. Increase of temperature favors forward reaction. Keep this in mind. Similarly, if you decrease temperature, right, or if you remove heat from the system, temperature will come down. So decrease of temperature will favor exothermic reaction. In this case, backward reaction is exothermic, so backward reaction will occur in larger extent. Okay, yeah. Then, so these are all the qualitative way of explaining effect of temperature on equilibrium reaction. This was given by Le Chatelier. Now what I am going to do, what is the quantitative explanation? So if I increase a temperature from say some initial temperature T1 to some final temperature T2, okay, to what extent the reaction will increase, or to what extent the reaction will occur in the forward direction or in the backward direction. Okay, so we are going to see quantitative explanation for the effect of temperature on equilibrium reaction. Okay, yeah, this is given by Van 't Hoff equation. Okay, so I am going to discuss Van 't Hoff equation now. You know very well, delta G naught equal to minus RT ln K. Okay, K here, K may be usually expressed as Kp. Okay, equilibrium constant in terms of partial pressure. Now I am going to differentiate this equation, right, with respect to temperature, keeping pressure constant. Okay, so dou delta G naught by dou T, I am differentiating this. Dou delta G naught by dou T at constant pressure equal to, here R is constant anyway, and we have two terms, one is temperature, the other one is ln K. Okay, so we have to differentiate this by UV method. So first I'll keep R ln K as such, so minus R ln K. If you differentiate temperature, you will get 1. Then minus, keep minus RT as such, differentiate ln K with respect to temperature, you will get dou ln K by dou T at constant pressure. Okay, yeah, so then multiply throughout this equation by T. If you multiply throughout by T, then you will get T into dou delta G naught by dou T at constant pressure equal to minus RT ln K, and here you will get minus RT square dou ln K by dou T at constant pressure. Okay, then this left hand side quantity, this quantity is actually called delta S naught. Okay, how? Yeah, we know very well delta G naught can be given as delta H naught minus T into delta S naught. Okay, now I will differentiate this with respect to temperature, keeping pressure constant. Okay, so if I do that, I'll get dou delta G naught by dou T at constant pressure will come out as see, if we keep pressure constant, then delta H naught becomes 0. Okay, if you keep pressure constant and if you differentiate delta G naught, then this value will become 0, and as we are differentiating with respect to temperature, so if you differentiate temperature, you will get 1, so you will get delta S naught minus delta S naught here. Okay, so this quantity is equal to minus delta S naught, substitute that value here, so we will get minus T into delta S naught equal to What is minus RT ln K? Yes, minus RT ln K is nothing but delta G naught. Okay, so substitute delta G naught here. Then keep this term as such. Keep this term as such. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'll bring this term to the left hand side and this term to the right hand side. So, we can write this as RT square dou ln K by dou T at constant pressure equal to delta G naught plus T into delta S naught. Okay, from this expression, we can say that delta G naught plus T into delta S naught equal to delta H naught. So, this quantity is equal to delta H naught. Okay, so this equation becomes dou ln K by dou T at constant pressure equal to delta H naught, and I brought this RT square to the right hand side. So here in the left hand side we have RT square. Okay, I brought it to the right hand side. So dou ln K by dou T at constant pressure, okay, is equal to delta H naught by RT square. Right? Or we can also write this as d ln K equal to, bring this delta T to the right hand side. So we can also write d ln K equal to delta H naught by R dt by T square. I have written in a proper manner. Okay. Now, listen, suppose at temperature T1, let the equilibrium constant is K1. And if I increase temperature to some value T2, right, equilibrium constant changes. See, very, very important. Okay, in the case of pressure, I have told you, effect of pressure or increase of pressure never affects the equilibrium constant. It will affect only the equilibrium composition. Whereas in the case of temperature, right, increase of temperature or change of temperature will change the value of equilibrium constant. Okay, so let us proceed. Let us try to understand how the rate constant, how the equilibrium constant changes in this case. Okay, so at temperature T1, let us assume that the equilibrium constant for the reaction is K1. If I increase the temperature from T1 to T2, equilibrium constant will change. So the final equilibrium constant, let it be K2, right? And here I am going to assume that delta H naught is independent of temperature, okay, in the given range. So in this range from T1 to T2, assume that delta H naught is independent. Okay, so and see here I have increased the temperature, so T2 is greater than T1, right? Now what I am going to do, so we have increased temperature from T1 to T2, therefore to make that change, okay, I have to integrate this d ln K from T1 to T2. Okay, I'm going to integrate this equation, right, to find the actual change. Okay, so in the left hand side we have integral d ln K. In the right hand side, delta H naught is independent of temperature, so you keep it out. R is constant, you keep it out. Integral dt by T square you get. Now at temperature T1, the equilibrium constant is K1. At temperature T2, the equilibrium constant is K2. So now if you integrate this, you know very well, differential of ln K is ln K. Differential of ln K, integral of ln K, d ln K, integral of dx is x. Okay, so in a similar manner, integral of d ln K is nothing but ln K. Upper limit is K2, lower limit is K1. So you will get ln K2 minus ln K1. Ln K2 minus ln K1. Okay, this can also be written as ln K2 by K1. Okay, ln K2 by K1. In the right hand side, you will get delta H naught by R. Integral dt by T square. Integral dt by T square is 1 by T. And upper limit is T2, lower limit is T1. Okay, if I substitute the upper limit, you will get minus 1 by T2, minus, if I substitute the lower limit, I will get minus 1 by T1. Okay, and here, see, the first term is minus 1 by T2, keep it as such. Second term, minus of minus become plus, so I will write the plus term first, 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2. So this part on integration, we are integrating from T1 to T2. So this part on integration will give me this value, 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2. Okay, so this equation is called is called as Van 't Hoff equation right here. This equation is called Van 't Hoff equation. Okay, this Van 't Hoff equation will give you to what extent the equilibrium constant or the equilibrium reaction will favor either in forward direction or backward direction as we increase the temperature of the reaction. So if you increase temperature, to what extent the equilibrium will change, that you can obtain quantitatively using this equation. Okay, yeah. So let me give some more information about this. Okay, what is that? See, whether K2, the final equilibrium constant, right, will be greater than K1 or lesser than K1, right, on increasing temperature, that is decided by the sign of delta H naught. Okay, delta H naught. That is, if delta H naught is positive, okay, we say that the reaction is endothermic. If delta H naught is negative, we say the reaction is exothermic. So whether it is endo or exo, based on that increase of temperature, okay, either increase the equilibrium constant or it will decrease the value of the equilibrium constant. Okay, let me explain that in these two cases. So first, case 1, suppose if delta H is positive. Delta H positive means the reaction is endo. Okay, the reaction is endo, right? And I am increasing the temperature from T1 to T2. Okay, in this case, right, if you observe the equation carefully, in this case, I'll write the equation here. Ln K2 by K1 equal to delta H naught by R into 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2. So now final temperature is high, therefore 1 by T2 should be low, because T2 is high, so 1 by T2 should be low. T1 is lower value, so 1 by T1 is high. 1 by T1 is high. So I am subtracting low value from high value, therefore this quantity is positive. And delta H naught is also positive, it is given like that. Therefore ln K2 minus ln K1 is positive. It means ln K2 should be greater than ln K1, or we can say, I'm sorry, this is K2, equilibrium constant, not rate constant. Okay, so K2 should be greater than K1, right? So what is the what's the inference we get from this? Listen, if delta H naught is positive, okay, in those reaction, if we increase the temperature, okay, then equilibrium constant will increase. The value of the equilibrium constant will increase, right? It means the reaction occurs in more extent, right, in larger extent in the forward direction. Okay, then suppose if delta H is negative, what will happen? I am increasing the temperature, so again T2 is greater than T1, right? So this quantity is positive, as I said before, this quantity is positive, but since delta H naught is negative, positive into negative become negative quantity now. Okay, so what I am trying to say is then log K2 by K1 equilibrium constant, okay, capital K, K2 by K1 equal to delta H naught is negative now, so this quantity is negative, and 1 by T1 minus 1 by T2 is a positive value. If you multiply these two, you will get negative. So what does this indicate? Log K2 minus log K1 exponential logarithm is equal to negative. It means log K2 should be less than log K1, or K2 should be less than K1. Okay, so in this case, right, increase of temperature, if delta H naught is negative, right, increase of temperature decreases the equilibrium constant value, or value of the equilibrium constant will decrease. If equilibrium constant value decreases, then the reaction will occur in larger extent in the backward direction. Okay, so backward reaction favors more. Okay, so depending upon the sign of delta H naught of the reaction, okay, the increase of temperature may either increase the value of equilibrium constant or decrease the value of equilibrium constant, right? So Van 't Hoff equation gives a quantitative way of explaining the effect of temperature on equilibrium reaction. Okay. Yeah. So we have discussed the effect of temperature on equilibrium reaction in this lecture. In the next lecture, I'll discuss with the effect of concentrations and effect of inert gases on equilibrium reactions.